Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson on Marshall. Today, it is all about U.S.-China. Yes, a strain in their relationship occasioned by Taiwan. Don't forget the comment of one Chinese General Li Sang. He made a comment over the week that a war with the U.S. will not be healthy for the world. And that it came and means a kind of a meeting between U.S., China, and of course other countries in the Asian Pacific. He mentioned it strongly. And don't forget that General Li was sanctioned by the U.S. before he was made the commander-in-chief of the Chinese army by Xi Jinping. Paint that picture. And don't forget also, in the Asian Pacific, a China vessel almost collided with a U.S. vessel. Immediately, it veered off because of this same tension. And U.S. is saying that China might have done that intentionally. And they said, look, it wasn't intentional. But amidst all this tension, amidst all this rivalry, amidst all this squabble, do you think an imminent war between two superpowers will eventually break out? Do you think Taiwan will have a lot to decide in this tension between China and, of course, U.S.? Another question is this: the distance between U.S. and Taiwan, then China and Taiwan, which is wider, which is shorter? Let's take a look at the economic implication, the military implication and all that, and how the world will react in all of this. All these and more, we'll take a look at today's installment of International Forum. I am Wilson on Marshall. With me here in the studio, he is a lecturer in Uniben and the Faculty of College of Medical Sciences. Yes, he's a political analyst, both local and international politics. Is well grounded. Join me to welcome Honorable Frank Amigo. Welcome to International Forum.
It's a pleasure being here.
I appreciate your comment.
Thanks.
Hope you're here 100%.
I hope so.
You hope so?
I hope so.
Anyway, thank God that it's suspended the strike for now. We'll talk about that on Radio on Impact. That'll be by the way. This talk has been ongoing. China-U.S. relation. Don't forget that China said Taiwan belongs to them. Because of that, Pelosi made an unscheduled visit. We talked about this to Taiwan. That really aggravated China. They did some display by shooting some missiles, though close to the Pacific and all that, just to show that displeasure. But it's like Taiwan also is saying we are not backing down. We are independent. We are free. Few days ago, a Chinese vessel almost rammed into a U.S. vessel, and that sparked also a reaction between U.S. and China that led to General Li making that comment. A war between U.S. and China will not be healthy for the world. What do you feel about that comment, and what do you think gave rise to the comment? Over now to you.
Yes, the claim of ownership of Taiwan by China is not entirely true. What seems to be ownership claim now came up after the Second World War in 1945. But before then, it was under the governors of Japan. So it was after the war that China took over governors of Taiwan. So they shouldn't lay much claim. And in itself, Taiwan is a sovereign nation that U.S. and globally the UN have accepted, but China is still laying claim to it. It wasn't as if they planted a nation called Taiwan. They nurtured it, and it has grown and started bearing fruit. Taiwan has been existing just as China. As I earlier said, it was under the governors of the Japanese government until after the war. So what the Minister of Defense in China is saying doesn't hold any ground. He's angry because of what happened to him in 2018 when the U.S. government sanctioned him about the purchase of some weapons from Russia and all that. So it's just like a common scenario whereby you have an opportunity to kind of attack someone that once opposed you. So the defense minister, I'm not of the opinion that he's doing the right thing, because some days ago, in particular, that should be the first day of June this month,
Yeah.
he refused to interact with his U.S. counterpart, that is Secretary of Defense.
But they shook hands.
But he wasn't happy doing it. He wasn't happy doing it. You can't shake hands by correspondence. By that I mean, I'll just say, how are you?
Yeah.
If you're shaking hands with someone, you should be face to face, better see eyeball to eyeball. Then you will know that, okay, this is a friendly handshake. He is still not happy. That's Lee, that premised on the 2018 sanction. He is still feeling bad about it. And so many other things that have happened. And the escalation of this war has really started in 2016 when Donald Trump became president. 2017, he labeled China as a competitor. In 2018, a lot of other trade wars started. And as this one carried on, Joe Biden took over in 2020. He maintained the stand of Donald Trump, and since then, it has not been business as usual.
All right, now thank you so much for giving us a solid foundation for this discussion. We want to go for a break. When we return, we will continue with this discussion. Don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. Join us right now in the studio. He is a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Abayomi Thomas. Welcome to International Forum, sir.
Good afternoon.
I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
As it close to me, he is also a vibrant lawyer, a young one at that. Join me to welcome Barrister Douglas Omoigwe. Barrister, welcome. It's been like eons.
Of course it has.
Welcome. Barrister Ibi Thomas, over to you. The China-Taiwan tension. There was this show of force, so to speak, when a Chinese vessel almost rammed into a U.S. vessel, but was able to veer off to prevent the ugly incident that led to General Lee making that comment that a war with the U.S. would be devastating for the world. What can you make out of this tension? Who is the puppeteer and who is puppet master in this concept?
Well, my views are very straightforward. In this new world, when countries are breaking up, I don't think China should continue to insist on having Taiwan as a state in China. The British reluctantly gave out Hong Kong to China. And I think China should realize that if the old Soviet Union could break into about 15, 16 countries, if the old Czechoslovakia could break into different countries, you cannot since 1947 or 49 keep on insisting that Taiwan is part of China. The more you insist on that, fortunately for the Taiwanese, they have the backing of the United States of America and the European countries. But the only one among the European countries and America that can flex muscle is America. In 1979 or 97 or thereabout, China had wanted to forcefully take over Taiwan. But as soon as their military generals sat down to look at what America possessed, as at that time, 97, which is just about 6 years ago or 16 years ago, they looked at what America possessed at that time it would have taken America 48 hours to destroy China. Then they pulled back. It was just to give the command, go ahead and forcefully take Taiwan. And that has also helped China somehow, because since that 1997, they've gone to invest heavily into their military. So that in any case, once there's any conflict today between China and America, be sure North Korea would take the side of China. Just be sure of that.
All right.
And the ballistic missiles and the nuclear weapons will be flying all over, and the world will be at a grave danger.
I'll come back to you, Barrister A. B. Thomas. Barrister Douglas, do you share his view?
Of course I don't. Because we cannot jettison history from this particular subject, this particular discourse. Whether we like it or not, Taiwan is actually share cultural and social provenance with the People's Republic of China. In fact, the official name of Taiwan is the Republic of China. They share history with one another. What China is postulating is that there should be a two different system of government, but same country. And to some certain extent, I quite agree with them. Because when you share cultural and to some extent geographical similarities with Taiwan or Republic of China, as the case may be, there ought to be some level of synergy between one another. And the United States of America, they quite share this impression as well. Because in 1979, a part was struck out, if I'm not mistaken, wherein the United States officially brokered an agreement with the People's Republic of China, and unofficially started, having diplomatic relations with Taiwan. In other words, they did not, or the United States is still postulating up to now that the Republic of China is actually one nation with the
Taiwan.
People's Republic. Yes, Taiwan, which is also known as Taiwan, is one nation with China. However, they recognize China as a superior party, of which they are in formal and official diplomatic relations with China. However, not that they don't share diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but it's unofficial, it's off book.
It's off the book.
Of the book.
All
Despite the fact that they do sell ammunitions and military equipment to Taiwan as well. So we should not jettison historical evidence as far as this matter is concerned.
All right. I'll come back to you, Douglas. Well, Honorable Frank, you heard both of them. He said, look, if you go by the books, even the name of Taiwan has China in it. Republic of China. And of course, as part of it, the only issue they have is a system of governance. Why is America overreaching in this regard?
I'm very sure, as Barrister Obegui took off on the point of history, and I'm very convinced right now, they read the volume 2 of the cultural practices of Taiwan. The volume 1 will stipulate that Taiwan was never ab initio under China. It was under Japan.
Okay.
It was the Second World War in 1945 that ended that made China to take over. So it wasn't a thing that was from there from the start. The Southeasterners in Nigeria, they claim they have their descent from the Jews. So will the Jewish nation come and rule over Southeast Nigeria? So if you want to look at history can change. It can change. At times we are told that the Yorubas will tell us they came from, Benin came from the Yoruba land. But now they are rewriting, no, the Yoruba came from Benin land. But what we should have a common denominator is we came from God. So that's not a point to make that after the Second World War, China took over Taiwan. So from now till the end of the world, they should be under Taiwan. There's a point that Barrister made, Thomas made, that we have had USS Arrow, we have had several nations, and they came to the sudden realization that we have some points of differences. So for us to live peacefully, let's break away. It now becomes unity in diversity. Let it be in the books of history that all these countries were once together as USS Arrow, just for the records. Okay. But in life and in living, let's break away.
Okay, do you share his opinion?
Hold
on.
I will have to react to that.
You react. Over to Barrister Thomas.
Please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, to add more flesh to the historical perspective that we are hearing, my brother here says, you read part 2. I read part 1.
Okay.
But I didn't read any.
Okay.
Look at it this way. If you said, oh, because you were speaking Chinese, you wore dress like Chinese, you ate Chinese food, therefore you must come back to China. That is the war Russia is fighting in Ukraine. They are the war of attrition. That the eastern part of the oblast of Ukraine, they are mainly Russians. Therefore, we want them back. A people that departed in 1992, you want them back. Oh, very soon, Nigeria will go to Cameroon and say, come back. You don't do things that way. We are going to be progressive. And if we want to be progressive, history is the study of the past to enable us to know the present and prepare for the future. And if that is the definition of history, and if the current situation in the world favors peaceful coexistence, the future belongs to countries who are allowed to go their separate ways and live peacefully. Now you look at the havoc Russia is doing. They went almost capturing the capital of Georgia until the UN stepped in. So when we are talking of Taiwan, we are talking of China, we must realize that under the United Nations Charter, there is a provision for freedom of people to decide their future.
All right, I will come back to you. It's like having a heated argument right now in the studio with positive points being given. We want to go for a break. We'll return. We'll definitely continue with this discussion. Don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. Barrister A.B. Thomas gave a very strong point before we went on that break, talking about living in harmony, talking about having the power, the right to be independent, though you coexist, but you shouldn't lord it over other countries because you were once, let's say together, not together, part 1, volume 1 versus volume 2. So, Barrister Douglas, you have the floor. Pick it up from where Barrister A.B. Thomas left off. The point he gave, very solid, very valid. Take it up from there.
Well, I quite disagree with what you say, in as much we are disciples of peace and harmony or tranquility, as the case may be. But we shouldn't, as I've said earlier, we shouldn't jettison history. Taiwan and China, right from time, they have always been one country, sharing similar cultural traits, sharing similar history, sharing this similar provenance.
What about the aspect of Japan before the World War?
Japan before the World War, before the Second World War, was a powerhouse in the Pacific. Just the way the United States was having control over the Philippines, so has Japan before the Second World War. So has Japan occupying Taiwan before the Second World War. They were the strongest powerhouse in the Pacific.
Even occupying China also in the time. Of course,
yes, they did. So
okay.
that does not mean that China and Taiwan does not share same history, same provenance, the same people. In fact, if I want to even clarify some certain issues, after Mao in 1949 was elected as the leader of China, of the People's Republic of China, his opposition or the members of his of the opposition party had to flee from China, from People's Republic of China to the Republic of China, that which is Taiwan, as the case may be. They had to flee and establish a government which was entirely different from the communist ideology or the communist philosophy, as the case may be. So we shouldn't jettison history. As it stands, the United States is still of the opinion that their sole mission, as far as China and the Taiwan relationship is concerned, is to maintain cordial relationship in the Taiwan Strait.
All right. So maintain cordial relationship in the Taiwan Strait. Well, Honorable, okay, so I should pass the ball to him?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Go ahead, Barrister.
For peaceful coexistence.
Peaceful coexistence.
Yes.
Okay,
Now,
go ahead. Yeah.
Let me take the historical perspective of my learned friend.
Okay.
He has just admitted that Japan colonized China or occupied China. You have admitted America occupied Philippines. What is the situation today?
They are independent countries.
So, if they are independent countries, let Taiwan be.
Independent.
Let it be. If we agree that Japan historically was occupying China, we agree. America was occupying Philippines, we agree. North Korea, South Korea, they were one. Today they are two. In fact, in Africa here, we have had Sudan. We now have South Sudan. Today, South Sudan is helping Sudanese to keep their refugees. Whether you like it or not, one day to happen here. So we should agree.
Barrister, just put my foot down. Barrister, don't cross the line, please.
South Sudan,
don't cross the line, please.
South Sudan is not helping Sudan. So one day, look, there is nothing like a marriage without divorce.
Okay, Barrister.
So marriage. So if
Barrister, I will come back to you. Sir, you know why I have to cross you now.
I know you.
Please.
So historically, like my learned friend is saying,
yes,
historically, there is no marriage without divorce. Even in the Bible, in the Holy Quran, there have been divorces.
Okay, I will come back to you. Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. In this case, Honorable, who is overreaching? Who is being, overbearing? Is it China that saying Taiwan is part of us? Or the U.S., according to some reports, instigating Taiwan against the influence of China?
There is no iota of instigation there at all.
No, of course, there's no iota.
China is overbearing. Overbearing to the point that they're even thinking that Taiwan will join the NATO. And they will. Over time, they will.
And that is the fear of China.
Yes, they will join. Just like Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine will join NATO. Definitely. So the fear of the unknown, talk about the past or what I call history. If you hold on so much to the past, you don't have enough space in your hands to have access to the present. So if you hold on history will come and go. Then the way forward. U.S. is looking at the way forward. Taiwanese people, they want to be free.
Just 60% of them.
Hold on now. You react. Continue, please continue. Let them land. You react. Let them land. Okay. All right.
I'm sure Winston introduced you as your name. That you look like a Nigerian. You are not a Chinese.
So, all right.
Well, we are looking at the matter objectively. We are Nigerians here. Four of us are Nigerians. Yeah. We are looking at the matter dispassionately, with the evidences before us. The Taiwanese, if we say 60%, that is a simple majority. They want to leave. Maybe the 40% that want to stay back out of fear that if you join the 60, will do one or two things to you. But left for them in their own hearts, they want to be separate. And there's no one human being on earth that does not like and would not want to enjoy independence.
Okay.
So China is overbearing. Now U.S. has in a way come to the rescue of Taiwan, and Taiwan is happy. It's happy because the system of government you want to, the old system of government that you were oppressing them with in Taiwan, their eyes are now wide open to realize that system is not in tandem with modern civilization. So they don't want it. Right. So they have that right of determination of how to live their lives.
All right. Now he said
the Chinese told Britain,
yes,
we will operate one country, two systems in Hong Kong.
We'll come back to you. You
What
heard him.
happened?
Now, he said China is overbearing. And he said the promise that China made to Britain in case of Hong Kong, China reneged in a way. In this case, who is overbearing? Is it the U.S. or China? Douglas.
I feel U.S. Interest in both China and Taiwan is nothing but to suit their greed, to suit their own purpose as a nation. You understand? Yeah. But as it stands, there has never been a time that China, that is the People's Republic of China as the case may be, there has never been a time that China has invaded Taiwan or oppressed them in a way that is inhumane. What China is saying is that, fine, we recognize your autonomy as a group of, or a country with a defined geographical entity. But in as much, share our history, now notice our history or appreciate our history that yes, we are one nation. If not for the Taiwan Straits, it would have been one. It was actually, Taiwan is actually an island of its own that is actually separated by the Taiwan Strait. If you leave that outside the Taiwan Strait, or if there is no Taiwan Strait, it would have been one
part of mainland China.
One mainland China. So that is what China is actually saying. In fact, the biggest benefactor of the Chinese economy or Chinese exports is Taiwan. Just as Taiwan is the biggest benefactor of their own produce or their exports, as the case may be. So they share good diplomatic relations. That is a fact. Just as how the United States of America share good diplomatic relations with China and Taiwan as well.
All right.
But what the United States is saying is that let there be peace and tranquility in the Taiwan Strait. Fine. United States acknowledges the fact that yes, China is actually a superior powerhouse in the Taiwan Strait or the Pacific. Now they recognize the fact that yes, Taiwan is a growing nation with so much potentials.
I'll come back to you.
So much potentials as the case may be. Right. However, it's only the recent administrations of Donald Trump and Biden that is insisting that if China is of the opinion that they want to unify the countries, so that is Taiwan and China as the case may be, and they want to use the necessary means of force, that they will support Taiwan. And we should not jettison the fact that there is an act of Congress acknowledging Taiwan, that Taiwan is one of the biggest allies of United States that is not a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. All
right, Douglas, thank you so much for that wonderful information. Let's talk about territorial integrity. The reason why Russia is hammering Ukraine, don't be part of NATO because of our own security. Can China, do you see China, Barrister Thomas, using that pattern or that reason to launch an attack on Taiwan if they choose to join NATO? After you said they will definitely join NATO.
I speak to you from Nigeria that China will invade Taiwan if Russian presence is no more. Now, America did not even go into Georgia or any of those former Soviet Union republics to have a boundary with Russia. But Russia went into Ukraine. They first went into Georgia in 2005 and almost captured Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. So you find that Russia and China have the same hegemonic tendencies. They have expansionist tendencies. When Gorbachev was in Russia, it was Gorbachev who supervised the splitting of Soviet Union into 50 countries. Because they found that the history that bound them together was no longer maintainable. Now they went peacefully, no quarrel. But when Putin came with his own ancient history, he now wanted to force the former Soviet republics back into Soviet Union. That's why you have crisis. So Today, Finland, that wanted to stay quietly on their own, Finland has a boundary of 6,000 kilometers with Russia. Finland has applied to become a member of NATO. They are afraid of their own territorial integrity. Then look at other smaller countries around them, not up to the population of Belgorod in Russia.
In Russia.
They are all afraid. They are now seeking refuge under NATO. Now Taiwan has never threatened China. China has so much expansionist tendencies that they have even gone as far as trying to seize some islands from Philippines. Far away, trying to seize islands from Philippines. What are you doing there? China has the largest landmass in the world after India. Have you been able to cultivate your land very well? Is it not recently they allowed people to come and be doing business in their country? Save your country. No. If Nigeria today decides to go to the Republic of Benin and say because there are Yorubas there, I will oppose Nigeria.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Barrister. Well, still on the matter of territorial integrity, don't forget what happened between the U.S. and Cuba. Russia said they want to have a base in Cuba. The U.S. said you cross the red line, the world will bleed. And they are still maintaining it. So if you wouldn't allow China to do the same, why would you oppose China? Over to you, Honorable.
There's a difference.
Where?
A difference? Okay, hold on.
No difference whatsoever.
After you, Honorable.
These are powerhouses.
Go ahead.
And they need to maintain their territorial integrity.
Yes.
So talking about a matter like this, to me, it's not sensitive. China is just blowing things out of proportion. Where you have already a place called China, a geographical location, have you been able to harness it? Whatever cultural similarities you have, you can even come from one part of Nigeria and have a cultural affiliation or similarity with somewhere in Russia. So that does not mean that Russia will not come here and dominate. There is no way that America will open its eyes to see the oppressive tendencies of China.
Don't forget the issue of Cuba in 1967.
No,
when Russia said,
thank you.
When they say they want to have a base and take it to the right, the U.S. they don't have a base in Taiwan.
I will explain it.
Explain it because right now, because what is good for the good? Hold on. Barrister Douglas, hold on. What is good for the good is good for the gander. So
they are not the same thing.
What's the big difference?
There's a difference. The difference is this. In 1962, when Nikita Khrushchev was the president of Soviet Union, and Cuba was a communist country.
Yes.
What he wanted to do was to install intercontinental ballistic missiles in Havana, in Cuba. It wasn't that Soviet Union wanted to annex.
Don't you have military bases in Taiwan?
Excuse me, hold on.
Okay.
Not that not that Russia wanted to annex Cuba. No. Not that America wanted to annex Cuba. No. America had no territorial ambition in Cuba. All right? All they were saying is, don't put these offensive weapons near my house. They did not say it is our territory. But now, if you look at China and my friend here, they are saying, look, Taiwan, you are part of us. You must be part of our country. Whether you like it or not, you must be part of it. That is the difference.
Okay. All right. So,
there are some certain facts.
No, hold on.
I need to highlight here.
Okay, go ahead.
Whether we like it or not, the strongest military power in the Pacific Ocean is the United States of America. What is their purpose in the Pacific?
It's for Winston to ask us.
We need.
I will come to you, Honorable.
America's purpose in the Pacific.
They are there to is democracy.
Not democracy.
It's democracy.
Hold on. I'm asking the question. Yes.
America spends billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in protecting countries as Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, and so on and so forth, just because of their economic gains in these countries.
They have democracies.
Yes, they do have economic gains in these countries.
They have democracies.
Whether we like it or not, America is not a member of the Pacific. But they have the biggest power or the biggest ammunition or the biggest base in the Pacific Ocean. Why is that done? No, I'm not done yet.
The only question for our opponent
No, the truth is that.
Yeah.
The truth is that America's presence in the Pacific is a threat to growing powerhouses as China, who is domiciled in the Pacific Ocean.
And North Korea too.
And North Korea, whether we like it or not.
Okay.
Now, we cannot say that America is just too generous to support a small country as Taiwan. If they are not things that they are benefiting, if they are not economic or social or military gains that they benefit from countries as Taiwan, as Philippines, and the likes.
All right.
So this is a delicate issue. A very delicate issue. Whether we like it or not, China is a powerhouse.
Okay.
And it is wrong. It is utterly wrong for an external powerhouse as United States having bases, military bases, having scientific labs that is capable of creating or generating biological weapons that can wipe out the face of the earth.
Okay,
like in China.
Okay, hold on.
We should not.
Calm down.
No, it's something that's very delicate.
Barrister Douglas, calm down. I'll come back to you. Now, you know what?
Yes.
He raised a valid point.
Yeah, what's the point?
Hold on. Now, take a look at the presence of America in the Pacific.
Yes.
Let's start with the warship.
Yes.
To start off with.
Yes.
And of course, the presence also on the base they have is of this island in the Asian Pacific. If it would be China as a world power, won't you be worried? Your own neighborhood. Honorable, over to you.
Hold on. Russia having base.
Let me answer you.
Hold on, you answer. Honorable, over to you, Honorable. What do you feel about this? Because China say your presence is irritating, is an irritant. We are not comfortable. This is our domain. Take it up from there.
Do you know a thief will not be happy when you fence around your house and everything is well protected? You'll be disturbing the thief. A stubborn thief will say, "Oga, you are blocking our chances." So China is angry that US has a base there, not in consonance with their intentions. That the base of America there is a threat to them because they were able to perpetrate whatever intentions they are having or they have had upon Taiwan. So that base is rather protective to Taiwan.
And you spend hundreds
Hold
of
on, Barrister Douglas, he has the floor. He has the floor.
money?
Please continue.
And you take his American customers' money.
Barrister
He
Douglas,
just told you to have a CFO now.
he has the floor. Let him continue, please. Let him complete. Yes.
So there is no need to be afraid. China has no need. If you have their contacts, they don't have to be afraid. If you have good intentions, it doesn't matter what comes around you. You are thinking now that China is not oppressing Taiwan. It's just like a mother has a poultry.
They're of course oppressing them. Nobody is disputing that.
China,
You agree now?
Yes, they are.
Oh, you say you agree now?
They are.
Stop interjecting, please. Continue.
So if a man has a poultry and the birds will be feeling that the owner of the poultry is helping them, it's not helping them. It's just grooming them for better sales. So China has ulterior motive as to the claiming of Taiwan. And US with their telescope has discovered that the intentions of China are worrisome. So it's better to mitigate against such a thing much earlier than to wait on just like what happened between Russia and Ukraine. If America had known that a thing like this will happen, they will so bombard Ukraine like this. What they are doing between China and Taiwan, they would have locked down.
Go.
So it's a bit regrettable. Just 2nd to 4th, that was Friday to Sunday.
Yes.
They're having a security summit in Singapore. Do you know that North Korea and Russia delegates were not present? And issues like that about those wars everywhere would have been discussed. So that's why China is feeling aggrieved. Why should America have any interest in any community or nation they want to annex?
All right.
So US is playing the role of a big boy. It's a big brother wanting to create world peace. By the time there is war in any country now, a lot of other powers will be involved.
Okay.
So let's prevent them from the start.
All right, there's going to be a part 2 of the discussion. But A.B. Thomas, in the next 2 minutes, you have the last line. Don't worry, there'll be a part 2 of the discussion because I don't think we are going anywhere until we get to the bottom of this. Yes.
China should sit in their country and continue to act like a big brother. You cannot have one big brother. We have many. China is a big brother. America is a big brother. There are also some other big brothers who are quiet and they don't make noise. Germany is good. They are quiet.
Sorry for cutting in, Barrister. Would America allow China to be a big brother to Cuba? Or Haiti?
Will
America allow China to be a big brother to Cuba?
Why not?
Or Haiti?
Why not?
As a part of Mexico, close to American border.
As long as he's a lawyer, he knows.
Excuse me. Hold on, please continue by saying.
Is have 2 minutes?
Is the battle starting now?
Yes. No. The
He knows the rule in the law,
court. All right.
The court case of Rylas and Fletcher.
Okay.
As long as those countries don't contain any arms that will be a threat to the sovereignty of America, America will allow them. Till today, it's the Cubans who are now beginning to change their own system gradually without America going there anymore. So let everybody have peace so that we all live in peace. America, Russia versus Ukraine, price of grains have gone up. The poor countries are suffering. Unlike my brother who is not suffering, but the rest of us are suffering.
He's obviously not suffering.
You can see his size. You can see his size.
There'll be a part 2 of this discussion because the tension is very much on. And each side, they do have points. Someone said that America will not allow some of these world powers to have bases around them, even in their country, or be a big brother to these countries, no matter your intention. And right now we have billions, or like trillions of dollars invested by the U.S. in the Asian Pacific. And that China say he would not tolerate. That is the bulk of the issue. Pushing back American presence out of the Pacific, that is China's resolve. Can they do it? It's like Taiwan might just be a test case or a case study. It's going to be part of the discussion, really, to be part 2 of the discussion. Well, viewers, this is the much time will allow us to really talk on this particular topic. We'll do it again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.